Hello everybody and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And first of all, just a couple of announcements. Believe it or not, this is the last week of conference call programming for 2013 from the Wellness Forum. Tonight I'm going to do conversations with Dr. Pam. Our topic's going to be genetically modified organisms. I'll cover it for a few minutes and then take questions on that and anything else you guys want to talk about for an hour. And on December 12th, it's our last Introduction to Plant-Based Nutrition workshop with Lori Denman, teacher extraordinaire, 90-minute power pack session on how to get started on a plant-based diet. And it is time to start ordering holiday gifts from the Wellness Forum. This is what I'm going to be doing. Saves me lots of shopping, and everybody always loves the stuff I send. So we have gingerbread biscotti, and Del only makes that during this season, and cookie boxes, and trail mix, and kale chips, and just phenomenal things. Autographed books, combinations of those things. We wrap it all up. Everything includes a gift card, and you can call us, and we can ship it any place in the world that you would like for it to go. All right, I have two topics today that I want to cover. I received emails from, I don't know, dozens of people asking me about this new study that supposedly shows that flu shots reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. And so I always postpone making comments until I can see the original study and all that sort of thing. So I'm ready to make some comments now. Well, according to the study, the statement that we're seeing in the media, getting a flu shot not only will help you prevent the flu, this is the way it's being spun, at least in our local newspaper and New York Times, will also reduce your risk of heart attack and stroke. I've already covered the whole issue surrounding the fact that the Centers for Disease Control and health authorities just misreport and make up data to promote the value of flu shots. The Cochrane collaboration, the most independent research organization for medical research on the planet, has determined in numerous studies that this shot is useless for all populations. So I'm not going to regurgitate that here. I'm just going to focus on this heart disease thing. Well, in my opinion, health agencies and the vaccine makers must be getting desperate. More and more people are saying no to the flu vaccine, so they're having to find reasons other than just prevention of the flu to get people to do this. So I'll tell you about the study. It was a meta-analysis that included 6 studies with 6,735 participants. The average age was 67. About a third of these people had a history of cardiovascular disease. Now, those who received the flu shot had a 2.9% risk of heart attack or stroke. Those who didn't had a 4.8% risk. This means a 1.8% reduction in risk in absolute terms. Certainly not worthy of all the attention and headlines that this study is getting. Furthermore, the average follow-up time is only 7.9 months, and the study showed no cause and effect relationship between flu shots and reduced risk, such as it was, and the study authors acknowledged that. Furthermore, and this just blew my mind when I read it, the researchers acknowledge that there is no study that has established a relationship between flu vaccines and flu prevention. And the authors suggested a larger multi-center trial that might help doctors to better understand the value of the vaccine. Don't you think we should have gotten that out of the way before we started promoting the stupid vaccine to everybody? So in summary, this is the deal. This is what everybody's making all this fuss about. This study showed a 1.8% reduction in the risk of heart attack and stroke, but the reduction couldn't be attributed to the flu shot. The study's authors acknowledge no connection between flu shots and preventing the flu, but everybody ought to go get this shot anyway. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe these people show up every day at work with a straight face and actually promote this silliness to the public. And of course, I can't blame the public. They don't know how to go back and read these articles and determine what ridiculousness this all is. All right, so now let's go to a story that really is disturbing. The Ohio Constitution and the Supreme Court both agree and have affirmed that parents have a right to make decisions for their minor children, including the right to refuse unwanted medical treatment. However, these laws and court decisions are routinely ignored, and parents are often threatened by state authorities and agencies that their kids will be taken away if they don't agree to certain treatments recommended by doctors, and this happens most often in the case of cancer. And we have a case like that in Ohio right now. So let me tell you a little bit about it. The 1851 Center for Constitutional Law is based right here in Columbus. It's a nonprofit organization that works to defend citizens against government abuse. This group is now representing Andy and Anna Hirschberger in the matter of their 10-year-old daughter, Sarah. The state of Ohio is trying to force the Hirschbergers to deliver Sarah to Akron Children's Hospital for a potentially lethal course of chemotherapy. Now, the background on the story is this. Sarah has a mild form of cancer, and in July of this year, the Hirschbergers discontinued chemotherapy and started another form of treatment because they determined that the chemotherapy was a greater threat to her health than her cancer. The case started with county social service officials who determined that the Hirschbergers were competent and refused to remove Sarah from the home. Then Medina Probate Court got involved. They determined, quote, there is no evidence that the parents are unfit or unstable, and, quote, not a scintilla of evidence showing the parents are unfit. The hospital wouldn't leave it alone. Instead, they filed a motion to have Sarah removed from her parents' home. The case is pending in front of the Ohio Supreme Court after an appeals court used an obscure law that addresses child abuse and neglect in order to assert its claim. And the court actually ruled that parents can be taken, or children can be taken from their parents, quote, without regard to the suitability of the parents. My blood's boiling as I'm reporting this to you. Now, according to the 1851 Institute, the Ohio Healthcare Freedom Amendment, passed by 67% of Ohio voters in 2011, prohibits the compulsion of anyone to, quote, participate in a healthcare system, end of quote. The U.S. Supreme Court has confirmed on several occasions protection for parents in the care, custody, and control of their children, and that there is a fundamental right to refuse medical treatment. In spite of this, the appeals court ruled that a probate court can supplant a parent's rights through appointment of a guardian, irrespective of whether, quote, the court finds the child's natural parents to be unsuitable, while acknowledging that the child's form of cancer, and I can't believe this, they acknowledge this, is mild. It can and is being treated successfully without chemotherapy, and they've acknowledged that the chemotherapy that the child was receiving carries side effects such as infections, infertility, cardiovascular disease, damage to internal organs, and increased risk of developing other forms of cancer and even death. Again, I don't know how these people live with themselves doing this kind of stuff. So, Maurice Thompson, who's executive director of the 1851 Center, this is what he has to say about it. This case touches upon the very role of government in a free society. Our constitutions do not empower state government to rip a child from her admittedly competent parents and loving home and force her to submit to unneeded treatment that may kill or sterilize her when other courses of treatments are being pursued and are working, end of quote. I'll keep you posted on what happens with this, but the government's intrusion into our lives and into our health is becoming a bigger instead of lesser problem. And it's going to have to be addressed, and I don't know if it's going to be a revolution or what we're going to do that's going to address it, but we have to do something about this. Well, that's all for now. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think might enjoy watching it, and I will be back to you with more news on Thursday. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. And before I cover today's articles, just a reminder, we're only about a month away from winter semester. January 13th is the start date. And if you're going to take some classes with us, please register early. We love the last minute and all that, but if we could avoid it, it would be fine with us. We are offering lots of great classes, including 2 for the first time. I'm teaching a class on meal planning for people with health conditions and allergies and all kinds of stuff you have to work around. And Dell's teaching one on healthy institutional food management. Lots of other good things being offered at the same time, too. All right, so get in touch with us. If you want more information, we can send you the schedule, the description of the classes, and all that good stuff. All right, so I want to talk about supplements. That's an ongoing topic because there's so much misunderstanding about it. According to a recent review by the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, believe it or not, taking multivitamins does not reduce the risk of developing cancer and heart disease. And the review included 26 trials, 24 randomized controlled trials, and 2 cohort studies. And the determination at the end, the multivitamins did not reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, or all-cause mortality in healthy adults without nutritional deficiencies. Now, the significance of this is that in the United States, contrary to what many people are told, we really don't have people with nutritional deficiencies. People are suffering from diseases of excess. Too many calories, too much protein, too much fat, too much, not deficiency diseases. I always ask people who insist that that's not the case, when's the last time somebody came in your office with scurvy? I mean, this just does not happen here. The researchers stated that the results should be interpreted in consideration of the fact that there are few good quality studies, but they also included a remarkable statement acknowledging that the reductionist approach to diet using supplements may not be viable. And I'm going to read this to you because it was the most exciting thing I saw when I was reading journals over the weekend. The result of vitamin supplementation trials have been disappointing at best, despite having a solid mechanistic basis. One explanation for this result could be that the physiologic systems affected by vitamins and other antioxidant supplements are so complex that the effects of supplementation with only one or two components is generally ineffective or actually does harm. This is very, very important because it actually could be the beginning of acknowledging that this reductionist approach to health that we've fallen in love with in this country and that is so well explained in T. Colin Campbell's new book, Whole, that it may be coming to an end. The human body is so complex, and our interaction with nutrition is so complex, and it's carefully calibrated by the body on a second-by-second basis that once you understand it, and Dr. Campbell did such a great job of explaining it when he was here for our conference in November, but once you reach this understanding about the complexity of all of it, you start to realize how ridiculous it is to think that you can put a handful of nutrients in a pill and it will somehow produce the same result as eating food, which we're designed to do. It cannot and it will not ever produce the same result. Now, I have to say, the response from the supplement industry is not surprising, but it still blows my mind. I mean, spokespersons state that the analysis included only healthy people, and that's why you should discount it. But my gosh, the supplement industry encourages healthy people to take multivitamins. If they're not beneficial, why take them? Another advocate stated, quote, multivitamin supplements should not be expected without the combination of a healthy lifestyle to prevent chronic disease. But with the right diet and lifestyle, you don't need the supplements, and the recommendation to take them is never accompanied by only works if you eat an optimal diet and practice the best lifestyle habits. That's not how they're sold. Some of the responses are almost unbelievable. One naturopath said, quote, as the researchers have indicated, there's limited evidence of multivitamins in preventing cancer or cardiovascular disease. However, we believe the paucity of clinical trial evidence should not be misinterpreted as a lack of benefit for the multivitamins. In other words, the studies don't show benefit, but you ought to take them anyway. So I'll just focus on the positive here, which is that it seems that there's a growing realization amongst mainstream healthcare professionals, and the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force is just one example, that maybe we ought to focus on the whole food and the whole diet. I mean, we got a long way to go before we completely move away from all this, but at least some encouraging statements are being made. So we'll look forward to more of that in the future. All right, now here's some good news for kidney patients. According to a new study, eating vegetable protein instead of animal protein helps kidney patients to live longer. It's not surprising. Lowering consumption of protein has been shown to slow the decline in filtration rate, kidney blood flow, to reduce damage to kidney tissue, and to slow the progression of kidney disease. The reason is that when people eat a diet high in animal foods and protein, toxins normally filtered through the kidneys and excreted through the urine build up in the bloodstream, causing further illness and damage to the poor little kidneys. Eating more plant food results in lower levels of these toxins and then less stress on the kidneys. The study results were based on analysis of data from 1,104 kidney patients, and the researchers controlled for things like age, smoking, body mass index, and found that for each 10-gram increase in vegetable protein daily, patients had a 14% lower risk of dying by the end of 2006. It's interesting that recommending a lower protein diet or reduced animal protein diet is recommended to patients who already have kidney disease, but nobody's talking about using this type of diet to prevent kidney disease. And even doctors who seem to know that a lower protein diet can be helpful don't always recommend it. And I experienced this firsthand. And a very close friend's father, who had managed his type 2 diabetes with a growing list of medications and for many, many years, was talked into coming to see me. He was scared out to death because he was told that soon he would have to start dialysis as a result of his increasing kidney disease and progressing kidney disease. So he agreed to eat a low-protein, plant-based diet, low-fat, for a short period of time. His daughter, my friend, accompanied him to his next doctor visit, at which time he was told that his kidney function was improving after only a few weeks on the diet. So his doctor asked him what he was doing differently, and when he responded that he was eating a plant-based diet, the doctor responded, yeah, that usually helps. Now the question is, why didn't this doctor recommend that diet? And furthermore, why didn't he encourage my friend's dad to stay on the diet? He didn't actually, and my friend's father died of complications from diabetes and kidney failure 3 years ago. I contend that his death was due to bad medical advice. This patient had faith in his doctors and had that physician instructed him to continue eating this diet. I'm convinced that he would have done it, but that's not what happened. So protecting your kidneys, just one more reason to eat a low-protein, low-fat, plant-based diet. You know, dialysis and kidney transplants save lives, and we have to give credit where credit is due, but I've never met somebody in kidney failure who was having a transplant or dialysis who was all excited about it. They would rather avoid all of that if they had the opportunity to do it. So, treat your kidneys well. Eat a low-protein, low-fat, plant-based diet. All right, that's all for now. It's all for the week, actually. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll be back to you again on Tuesday.